You're missing it.
Alien Earth Episode 5 is, as previously mentioned, a flashback episode, specifically taking place 17 days before the Maginot's arrival on Earth. So, what did we learn from the trailer for the episode? Not a whole lot, if I'm being honest. So, okay, quick breakdown of what exactly we see. With the Maginot hurtling through space, Morrow is woken up by a fellow crew member and he asks what day it is. Most likely, the answer will be less than optimal, and that answer is 17 days from Earth. You'll recall that the Maginot sequence from Episode 1 takes place 4 months before reaching Earth, so this is after several crew members have returned to cryosleep. We see a facehugger descending from its egg with the containment door wide open for some reason. This could very well be a form of sabotage, an idea that's pretty quickly brought up by Morrow after this quick shot of 2 specimens still locked away. Morrow says that, quote, "One of you is trying to destroy my ship," and we get a quick succession of cuts to various crew members, specifically Andy Yu's Teng, Rika Morjani's Zaveri, and Amir Boutrous's Rahim. Sorry for butchering those actors' names, by the way. I'm a cat. Now, whether or not one of those crew members is responsible for sabotaging the Maginot is up in the air. It could just be random main characters from the episode. As far as Teng goes, I'm willing to bet he's a red herring. With how much focus was placed on him already, it feels pretty anticlimactic to make him the nefarious saboteur. And honestly, same goes for Morrow. He's pretty obviously going to be given a lot more depth in Episode 5, and I believe a big part of that is that we'll see that he's not as bloodthirsty or evil as he's been portrayed thus far. Yeah, he technically causes Zaveri's death, but perhaps there's a good reason for that choice. Perhaps she's the saboteur. Who knows? Anyway, we also see Morrow looking over some flooring that appears to have been melted through thanks to some good old-fashioned xenoblood. This could be from attacking a xenomorph or just from a xenomorph being a little silly. I don't know. Then there's an explosion aboard the ship, followed by this line from Teng.
You're missing it.
This suggests that we'll be experiencing a bit of a whodunit. Morrow and I think Max Reinhardt's Bronsky are then contending with both the ship going haywire and potentially an alien threat somewhere ahead of them in this corridor. Although looking at the shot more closely, it does look like they're being shot at, and these sparks are actually ricochets, which just raises so many more questions. Presumably they're fighting against the saboteur, who could be in a number of characters. That's followed by a shot of Bronsky getting face-hugged and a separate crew member running down another hall. Notably, the emergency lights are going off, as they are in the next shot, with Morrow walking down yet another hallway, gun in hand. We're then treated to a brief shot of Shmuel, played by Michael Smiley, looking exhausted with the situation. This is probably long before this shot, wherein presumably our bear xenomorph can be seen stalking Zaveri. We also learn that T. Ocelus escapes at some point, that Jamie Bisping's Malachite has some form of a bad time, and a crew member gets chased down by the xenomorph. Malachite is almost certainly about to birth a chest burster here, as we see his body with a hole in the chest when Joe's crew is checking out the med bay. Notably, this could be a different alien species, but it's just uncertain at this point. There's also one more line from Teng who says, "It's right in front of you," which feels like a clue to viewers that the answer to our little whodunit might have already been revealed, presumably during Episode 1's opening Maginot sequence. Now, there's a few questions. First off, who wakes up Morrow? I've seen it suggested that whoever it is must be a synthetic, but that's not necessarily the case. It could be that there's a synthetic on board, sure, but we know from the opening of Episode 1 that not everyone was going back into cryosleep. Most likely, whoever wakes up Morrow is one of those crew members who abstained from nap time. Who lets the facehugger out? That's perhaps the most challenging question, as it also answers just who the saboteur is. We can go ahead and ditch Teng and Morrow as well as Malachite, since he's both just a dumb kid and apparently a pretty early death. I think it's also safe to assume that Bronsky isn't the saboteur, since he's seen working with Morrow, while Chibouzo also seems like an unlikely suspect. As the science officer, I could see her realizing the destructive potential of the specimens in the hands of Weyland-Yutani, but it seems like, based on what we've seen in the aftermath of the Maginot's crash, that she's killed fairly early on, most likely by D. Plumbacare, which we know asphyxiates its victims. Petrovich and Sullivan are both discovered by search and rescue in their cryopods, apparently killed by chest bursters, which means they are also unlikely to have been the saboteurs. This leaves us with not a whole lot of suspects. Rashid could potentially be the culprit, but aside from stealing Petrovich's food, he really doesn't seem to have been strongly implied to have done anything wrong. His body is found tangled in some wiring in the medical bay, which doesn't tell us much about how exactly he died. Then there's Captain Dinsdale, whom we really only see when he tells the crew that comms are down, the ship's log files are corrupted, and that the ship is burning way too much fuel. Petrovich offers to help, but Dinsdale instructs Bronsky and Teng to look into what systems can be shut down. Perhaps this could be what actually leads to the facehugger escaping. The wrong switch is flipped and the door opens up. It's flimsy, but I'm not exactly overcome with clues here. Next question. What kind of chaos is the T-Oculus going to get up to? This one we at least have a partial answer to, based on the homage teaser that came out about 2 weeks ago. In that trailer, we get this blink and you'll miss it shot of Shmuel with the T-Oculus at home in his eye socket. Now, if we want to get really conspiracy-minded, I think it might be safe to assume that Shmuel is the one who unleashes the facehugger thanks to the control of the T-Oculus. We already know that the eyeball squid of death is capable of logical reasoning, and it could be that creating chaos is in its best interest. Presumably, this is what leads to Malachite getting facehugged, although we still don't know exactly what killed Malachite. It could very well be a different creature aboard the Maginot. Which leads me to the last question. Just how many xenomorphs are there on the Maginot? If there's just one, then Malachite is definitely infected with something else, since Petrovich clearly is killed by a chest burster. There's also the question of this woman, who I believe is Sullivan, the crew member whom Teng likes to watch sleeping. She's killed by something seemingly bursting out of her side, which isn't the MO of the aptly named chest bursters. So what killed her? Whatever it was, it didn't burst through the glass of her cryopod, which is strange, to say the very least, and really just adds more questions to my overfilled plate of uncertainty. I guess this is all to say, who knows? The show seems to be keeping its secrets close to its chest, and this will likely lead to at least one big surprise come episode 5, which is of course titled In Space No One, which is a take on the tagline of the original Alien. Based on that, in the trailer we've been given, it's pretty obvious that we're in line for an hour-long version of Ridley Scott's Alien, albeit with a whodunit element and a very different conclusion. So yeah, apologies for not actually answering anything definitively. We're just gonna have to wait for the episode to air. Such is life. Anywho, thanks for watching. Bye now.